We are back. Got another Andrew Tate clip.
Yeah,
Pick
so
apart here.
so
Man's a
uh,
legend.
he went on
He's
Piers
insane.
Morgan last month, the end of the month, right before we started doing these reaction videos, and I kind of didn't want to be like crazy a React Andy and jump on this as soon as it was available. So I thought it was good to give it a little bit of time and see what the hell happened with it, and if we like doing reaction videos and stuff. And I did not even grab the full hour-long clip. We have a 19-minute clip here. We might even cut it down a little bit depending on what we decide to do and stuff like that. But this is Andrew Tate after he fucking exploded, after he's done things, and actually tackling the things not only he said, but Piers Morgan, who is very, very, very left leaning. And this is fantastic. I've seen the full clip. I know Ippo hasn't. So let's see this shit.
Even the idea that I don't believe in these things is crazy.
I didn't ask you if you believed in it. I asked you if you're going to get married.
One day, absolutely.
You'd like to?
If I'm not married already, I will be married one day. If I'm not.
Well, you might be secretly married.
I could be married, correct.
Why would you not tell me either way?
Why would I advertise to the feral psychopaths of the world who've tried their very best to destroy me for
Feral psychopaths.
about my private life and the things that are most sacred to me? Why
Well, you
would I
think
do
if
that?
you said you were married, everyone would hate you?
I don't know about people hate me. It's about me understanding that I'm a hard target, but I am very, very protective of the people I care about.
Right. But you believe in the concept of marriage?
Completely. That's what we were talking about the whole time.
What do you think?
We talked about a man giving a woman away.
Okay.
I believe in marriage more than anybody. In fact, I believe in marriage in, no, please. I believe in marriage in the traditional sense. I believe a man has a duty to stand up and be a real man. I believe that the problem with the world today that we are facing is that not enough men are sticking to the age-old ways of masculinity. I believe that me standing up and saying a man must protect a woman and provide for her, so he needs to make sure that she's safe. He needs a degree of authority to protect her.
I have no problem with...
No, but people do have a problem with it.
I'm not, sorry.
And that's the world we're in now.
Andrew, I'm over here.
Sure.
I don't have a problem with what you just said. Here's where...
But he does, which is why it was brought up. What are you talking about, Piers? Like, you obviously he went there for a reason. Obviously it fucking was led there at some point. Oh, I don't have a problem with that. No, obviously
I have purposely not watched this after hearing everything about it because I hate his style of interviewing. The way he's confrontational, but not in a good, like, poking, prodding way, trying to get into someone's mind. He's just bitching and whining and just wants to hear the same thing back, so he just escalate and go back and forth. He's like...
He cycles what he's trying to say way
Tucker Carlson, but retarded and way whinier, is how I've always seen Piers.
My problem comes, right? There are a lot of clips of you floating around on the internet, as you know. One of them has you saying, bang out the machete, boom in her face, grip her by the neck, shut up, bitch. In another, you say, slap, slap, grab, choke, shut up, bitch, sex. When people see those clips and hear you say those things...
Agreed.
Well, I don't think that...
There's a whole bunch of men in the world who understands my value, and if men
context.
grow up to be like me, you're gonna have a whole bunch of people with no criminal record, dedicated athletes, who protect and provide for the people close to them, are fantastic for the economy, and I'm certainly not the worst influence out here, Piers. You have Little Nas twerking on the devil on music videos, which our children are digesting. You have drill artists singing about stabbing people to death in the middle of a knife crime epidemic. You have rabid psychopaths on whether the right or the left announcing violence on the other side. You have all these insanities in the world, and because I sit here and say
is, I love what the captions came up
offended you, I understand.
His accent is so weird sometimes.
You read things that you say that could be offensive, and some people are offended.
Well, some people definitely were offended.
Absolutely. That's fine.
And honestly, I think some of the things you said were genuinely offensive and misogynist.
Okay, so they offended you. Like I said earlier, so they offended you, which is fine. I said they offended you, you interrupted me, and now you're saying they offended you, which is fine. But the point I'm trying to make is this. I'm not the devil. There are certainly worse people than me, and they exist. Core tenets for the people who don't understand me are self-accountability, so I'm accountable for everything I've ever said. My core tenets are responsibility, so I'm responsible for everything I've said. My core tenets are traditional masculinity to a degree, which involves protecting and providing for women. And I'll make another point here that needs to be said. The number of women who have stood up and stuck up for me is ignored. Thousands of women are making videos saying, I've met Andrew Tate, he's such a nice guy. I wish I had a man like Andrew Tate who felt responsible to protect and provide for me. You know what? I do belong to my husband, that's why I married him and I love him. We ignore the thousands of women who stood up and stood by me and said everything I said is true. And we're taking a very vocal minority who have taken the things I've said and are pretending to be absolutely and utterly devastated by them for some reason.
All right.
Of course, because that
There
doesn't
are-
sow
time out.
division and
Sure.
fucking needless conflict between people. Why would they want to push those fucking videos?
No, but
Responses to the shit that he said.
that's the shit that's going hidden right now, which is the hilarious thing. Oh, all of these people are backing my words up. All these people are saying that they've never been threatened by me at all. You're saying I'm scary. You're saying I'm a problem. But yet every other person that actually knows me never had a problem with me at all. It's hilarious because it's the ripe, honest truth that happens every single fucking time.
Good phase, grip her by the neck, shut up, bitch. In another, you say slap, slap, grab, choke, shut up, bitch, sex. When people see those clips and hear you say those things,
Agreed.
well, I don't think that it's not hard to misunderstand it.
It is.
You might say that it's consensual. Other people would say, whether it's consensual or not, that's a very ugly way to talk about women.
Completely. Now let's
Hitting them with machetes.
No, watch the whole video. It's a girl
Yeah,
coming at
even
me
he's
with a
like,
machete,
fucking
and me saying, "Here, slap the machete
context,
out of her
dumbass.
hand."
I
She's
understand.
attacking me.
I
So you don't
understand.
understand. This is the exact point.
do understand.
No, people don't watch them in full. And this is
There you
actually
go.
what's interesting.
Yeah.
And please don't interrupt me on this point. Social media has changed in modern times. YouTube 5 years ago was 5, 6, 7, 8 minute long videos. Now we have TikTok, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 20 seconds, YouTube shorts, Instagram stories. Now anything you produce that's long form is cut down to very, very short form. They're interested in clicks, they're interested in engagement.
Of course.
They find
But
the
you
most
benefited from all
they
that.
find the most controversial clips they can
And Andrew,
on purpose.
You benefit, given that you know it can be misunderstood, do you regret saying things like this on camera where it can be disseminated by less
Why would you?
intelligent young males who think that is actually what they should be doing to women?
And finally, we get to the point of the issue, which is the point I tried to make at the very beginning. When I made a video before I was famous that got 500 views, me being concerned that 1% of people will misunderstand it was not relevant. Where you start getting 5 million views a video, 50 million views a video, 1% of people misunderstanding
Doesn't
it
change what you
becomes no, it doesn't. But it becomes a much larger problem.
I
So
understand.
with great fame
That's true.
comes great responsibility.
Right.
So
I agree.
Would I now that
Here's my
I'm famous?
yes.
Do I say things the same way as I did back before I was famous? Absolutely not.
Right.
As neither would you or nearly any other famous person on the planet.
So my
Once you
logical-
become famous, you have to be a lot more careful with
I
how you
understand.
say things.
I understand. So my logical follow-up to that remains, do you regret then saying it the way you said it?
I can't live in regret by saying something before I was famous on a camera which barely anybody watched, and then I became famous afterwards. That would be a very asinine way to view the world.
Do
I
you
can't live in.
stand, do you stand by all those things?
I can't live in regret because I didn't know I was going to become the most famous man on the planet. Regret would be the wrong word. Is it inconvenient?
A little
But I can't sit here and
arrogant
say, I
there,
wish I
saying
knew
you're the
6
most
years ago I'd be
famous
the most
man on the
famous.
planet. But fucking...
He's saying that because he was the most Googled person on the planet for about 3 months, which Google search results is pretty indicative of how many people actually know you or think of you or are trying to see what the fuck's going on. So yeah, at that point, he was one of the most famous people on the planet. There is that interaction and level of interaction that most people do not see. But he's 100% right to the point of, hey, you should never regret what the fuck you say. You might be
Yeah.
able to say it in the
Regardless
wrong
of
way.
when it was, if you didn't think you'd have the exposure you do nowadays, like at least owning up and being responsible for the things you've said throughout your entire life and not
said it.
regretting them is probably a good thing. Unless they're really, really fucked up. But
There's a
he hasn't said anything to that level that really deserves that, I don't think. Not that I've seen.
shit's ridiculous, man.
Famous man on the planet and monitored all of my speech forever. That's asinine.
There was also, I think, quite a disturbing piece that BuzzFeed did. And it
BuzzFeed,
talked
huh?
about the negative impact of young, impressionable male minds when they've read or seen some of the more inflammatory things you've said. And they quoted, for example, Sandy, 22, from Washington. My father's gone from a man who minored in women's studies in college, who was kind and in touch with his emotions, treated all people, men and women around him, with kindness, to a man who says that whenever he sees an effeminate male stranger, he gets an overwhelming urge to murder them. He loves podcasts. He listens to a lot of podcasts. I know he's listened to Andrew Tate.
So whoa. Let's stop for a second. Let's be professional here, Piers, because you're a
What the
professional. as
actual
well.
fuck?
First, you said, did you say that my father went?
This flip, this is masterful. This is the most insane thing that I've seen somebody.
How does that
flip on
have
their
anything
ass.
to do with the things that he said? It's not like he's tried to incite violence on people of any sort before
But most
legitimately. Like,
people-
this is just fucked. This is
Most
fucked.
people who aren't at least intelligent enough to understand what Piers is trying to do would not be able to accomplish.
Oh, he's just trying to
this in the
bait him
same
into
way.
saying some shit.
Or-
anything leaning towards him wanting to incite violence
Or
against people of
apologize. If he apologizes,
different
that's
views.
admission.
Of course.
So the only thing he can do is double
You
down
can't
and say
accept
he's fucking
fucking
retarded. Watch
accountability
this.
for
Yes.
someone else's
said,
actions just
"My
because they
father
watch
has
your
a
content. That's
a
fucked.
full-grown man, firstly. So we're talking about my impact on
It's
children.
the
We
same
just talked
argument
about
saying
full-grown
violent
men.
video games make
Secondly,
children
I've never
violent.
talked
It's
about
literally
murdering effeminate men
retarded.
in anything online ever, in any context ever. So I don't know why they have taken some random person I've never met in the world who's full-grown, an adult, and come to their own conclusions who I've never met and lumped his name in with mine. That is absolutely unfair on every level. I didn't read this
What is your
BuzzFeed.
view?
I didn't read this BuzzFeed article, but after hearing the first point, I know it's trash. That is complete garbage.
What
to
is
sit
your-
and say
what
that
is your
I'm the
view?
reason this man believes what he believes.
I have seen a quote from you. Say,
I said the reason I am so popular and I'm so famous is that there's a large contingent of men who don't want to wear makeup, who still want to make money, go to the gym, be strong, drive a fast car, be traditionally masculine, and don't want to be shamed for that, and they don't want to be called toxic for that. That is the reason I'm so massively famous. That is what I said.
what do you think of transgender people?
That's nothing to do with me. I'm not transgender, and I don't understand the issue like they do. They
Are
can
you
do whatever
transphobic? Do you consider yourself that?
Transphobe? What? Afraid?
Well, it kind of, yeah. You have
I
a
don't live in.
phobia.
I don't live in fear, my friend. I have no
Do you
problem.
have a dislike of transgender people?
I don't know any transgender people.
Do you have a dislike of what they stand for, what they are?
No. Why would I?
I don't know.
That's
I'm
not my
asking.
issue. That's
This
not my
is
issue.
so
And that's actually quite
fucked.
interesting
How hard
because
he's trying to
when I
bait
was
him into
attacked,
anything.
a lot of
Oh
these
my
stupid
God,
articles like
man, what
BuzzFeed
the
is just
actual
ridiculous.
fuck?
That first point proves anyone with a brain knows that that's garbage. When they attacked me, they lump a whole bunch of things in together. They say misogynistic, racist, transphobic. They just put them
fact
all
that this
together.
twat
I'm
is still
I'm
allowed
mixed
on
race.
TV,
I
let
don't know
alone
where they
to
get these. They just get
lead
these
programs
buzzwords and
like
put them in
this
and
is
offend
By the
us.
way,
fucking sad, man. Just goes to show you how much mainstream media is just absolute
But you saw that
garbage,
flip.
man. That
You
is
saw that
fucked.
flip, right? He's like, no. Oh, but transgender people. Also, no, you're fucking retarded. Like, that's the shit. Like, I didn't even respond to the one comment that we got that was, like, oh yeah, this shit's like nicknames. And I'm like, even if I said it completely eloquently and perfect, all you have to do is clip that.
Yeah, still taken out of context.
I'm not
God
going to
knows what
respond to
someone could
this.
do with it if
Like,
they really wanted to.
I'm thankful that you commented. I'm thankful that you're trying to get me to understand your point of view. And I'm not going to shit on you. I'm not going to because I'm not one of those people. But I don't hate anybody. I don't fucking hate anybody. But don't encroach on my life. And I like the fact that he was able to say that and flip not only murderous fucking anger on people, but then transgender that got turned right into Piers saying, transgender people. He's like, also, no, are you fucking retarded? Are you fucking retarded?
This is hurting my innards to watch.
But this shows Tate in his fucking best form. He's just like, no.
Honestly, this is the best shit I've seen from the guy, bar none.
I completely agree. So you support transgender people?
I support individual liberty. I'm a libertarian.
Yeah, so you support transgender people?
Sure. Why not?
Exactly, yeah.
So, but my point is, as a whole, you're saying that I'm saying I don't want to see men in dresses. I'm saying no.
You support gay people?
Sure.
Yeah.
I'm saying there's a large contingent of men in the world who like the idea of the traditional masculine view of the world, who feel happy when they watch 80s action heroes with big muscles and they run around. And there's nothing toxically masculine about having a fast car and a beautiful girlfriend and making a bunch of money. And
Nothing at all.
Absolutely. And those are the people who are my fans.
I
and
agree.
I'm
but
saying,
but the problem is, okay, I'm going to interrupt you just to say this. No.
Okay, but you're saying that I have a problem with men in dresses. I'm saying no. The people who watch my
I've asked you
content.
that question. You've answered.
Yeah, but the people who watch my content don't want to see men in dresses. Clearly, I don't wear a dress. That's the point
That's
I'm
not
making.
why they're watching your content.
No.
Because you're not wearing a dress.
No, but that's the point I'm making. That's the point I was making. There's a large contingent of men who are not interested in the things that perhaps the YouTube algorithm's trying to feed them.
I think there are
and they
lots
find my content.
look, when you support masculinity and masculine traits, I'm with you, right?
Okay, so you agree a man should protect and provide for a woman?
Absolutely.
Okay, so you agree if you were walking down the street with a woman, you'd be responsible with her safety?
Yeah.
Cool, absolutely. So if that woman wanted to walk alone at
I don't
night
think
and
I have authority over the
All
woman
right.
as we do that.
Okay, so let me ask you another question, Piers, because we are professionals. Let's say your woman decided she wanted to take a nice little walk through the south side of Chicago at 2 a.m., and she wanted you to go with her, and you were responsible for fighting and dying on the spot if she was attacked. Don't you think you would say to her, no, we're not going out right now, it's not safe?
So before Piers answers this, what would you do?
I probably wouldn't find myself in Chicago in the first place
No,
if it was,
but,
if it was up to me.
Like me, I would completely be like, no, what the fuck are you talking about? Going out for a walk right now. Like, I understand you might want to go walk and chill.
I hope I never find myself with someone that thinks that's a good idea, period. Yeah.
That's my point. It's like, what the fuck? Like, you're acting retarded. You're asking for problems. You're asking for the entire situation to get
Exactly.
fucked up. Like, if you don't have the logic to understand that, I understand. It's my job to tell you, hey, that doesn't fucking make sense. But, like, yes, I should have the authority and the respectfulness within our conversation and our relationship that I should be able to tell you no.
100%. And man, I've put off watching like virtually any bit of this interview because I just hate Piers Morgan's personality in its entirety. But this is great. I love how he's defending himself and just trying to poke holes in all the bullshit that he's tried accusing him of.
And I love how he flipped it. Like, every single time.
Yeah, he's literally asking these same type of antagonistic leading questions to Piers now.
And Piers fails. He fails every time. It's like he's not smart enough.
Oh my fucking God.
Yes.
Okay, so you'd have authority to make the decision. So
No, I wouldn't.
So
I would say I don't
agree.
think you should. If she decides to, it's her own volition.
Well, if she decides, you're not going to stop
I
her.
have no power to stop her.
Completely.
But you think you do.
No, I don't think I have power
You
to stop her.
clearly do.
No, I think I have power to make the decision. I
Yeah,
think,
he never
no,
even
that's
said
not
that.
So if you have the power to make the decision, you have the power to stop her.
No, because
And
it's,
that's
can't
where we
enforce
differ.
it.
That's why I think it's interesting about you. I don't think you really think through what you're saying.
I think through what I'm saying
Because
so carefully.
Yeah, but Andrew, what
Piers.
you've literally just said is that you have the power to stop
No,
her.
I said I don't have the power to stop her. I'm not going to lock her in the room. I'm saying that.
So if she wants to go on her own,
then she's going to go.
then
But
you
as a
don't have authority to stop her.
Okay, but as a couple, if we're going to
Why
sit there
go
and decide if
so
we're going to take
retardedly
these
in
You
depth
actually
on
got
one
a-
stupid
you don't feel a
hypothetical
sense of
anyway? Like that's
responsibility
just
for her safety. Absolutely.
Agreed.
Absolutely.
So fucking
So
Do
let
I
me
have
finish,
the
Piers.
power or authority to stop her doing it? No.
No, of course not. So let me finish, Piers. You're not going to stop her walking out the hotel. Of course, it's her decision. She's a sovereign individual. My point is that usually in a couple, you'd sit there as a team and you discuss, and perhaps on certain issues, the woman will know more about X and she'll decide X, and the man might know more about Y and he'll decide Y. So I'm saying if we're as a couple and we're sitting there and deciding, as a couple, as a team, and she says she wants to take this late night stroll, I'm going to say, you know what, I'm going to veto this one. I'm going to call veto
do you
on this one
believe
because
in-
it's dangerous,
Right.
which to a degree would give me, in that particular scenario, a degree of authority. If she said, I don't want to listen to you, Andrew.
doesn't give you authority.
If she says, I don't want to listen to you, Andrew, I want to go on that walk, then what can I do? Say, well, then
Then you
I
don't
hope-
have authority.
then I wish you the best, my love.
Then you don't have authority.
Cool, then it's a semantic argument.
Not really.
I think it
It's
is.
the complete opposite of what you said you
100%.
had, which was authority.
No problem, Piers. No problem. But I think
Let
we
me ask
actually.
you about what do you believe about depression? Do you believe depression is a real thing?
I believe that feeling depressed is real. I don't believe depression as a clinical disease is real now.
Really?
Correct.
You don't believe people can be clinically depressed?
I think PTSD is very real. Unfortunately, I have some friends who suffer from that. I know that feeling depressed is real. I believe that the number one power you have against these things are trying to take control of your own mind and affecting your own life. I believe that it's not healthy to hand over all your power and believe that depression is an outside disease that you can't affect. I know that when I've had difficult periods in my life,
he's right
and
on
also
that. There's
many of my
virtually no
friends, like I
situation
said,
in which
suffer
you
from
can't
PTSD
change
and
something
been
about
through
your life
terrible
that'll
things.
improve it.
I've lived a very difficult life, and I know people who have. That the things that made them feel better is when they woke up and said, you know what, I'm not going to allow this to damage me anymore. I'm going to take responsibility. I'm going to get up and I'm going to fight this as hard as I
Right,
can.
and by the way, on that, I agree.
So we
right?
agree.
My favorite speech is the Rocky Balboa one. to
Okay,
his
so
son.
then we agree. Okay, well, let me explain why. If someone comes to me and says I'm clinically depressed or I feel very, very
So that's been my fucking thing, and that's been something I've said for years now. Depression as a clinical disease is not the issue, is not the problem. It's a symptom. Saying I'm clinically depressed and taking a medication that makes you feel somewhat a little bit better is not aiding you in getting rid of that depression because it's not an illness.
Everything you do, say, absorb, changes your brain chemistry. Yes, people who are clinically depressed, if you want to say it, are diagnosed with it. There are literal deficiencies in some chemicals. It's a tangible thing that we can measure. But you can't say that it's just that way because it is the way it is, and there's nothing that can be done aside from medication for that.
So,
of course not. That's
in the
ridiculous.
past year, we've seen me flip from so depressed that I wanted to die every single day to being put on ADHD medication, and all of those depression symptoms are gone. So what was it? Was it my ADHD that was bouncing off the walls and I couldn't have an outlet enough to actually be able to handle it and do things? So all of a sudden, my mind was like, hey, I would just rather shut off than deal with this. That wasn't depression, even though I was fucking diagnosed with it. It was my ADHD that was bouncing off the walls and causing depression.
Exactly. It's an effect of other stressors in your life, external, internal, and for something. There's always something that can be done about it for everyone, and it's not going to be the same. You can't just tell everyone to go exercise a shitload because it's not going to work for some people. Some people aren't going to be able to drag themselves through that shit. You can't just tell everyone to start reading more about positive thinking and how to just fucking take control of your own thoughts and emotions, because that also won't work for everyone. Not everyone could just sit down and read through an entire like self-help type of fucking book. It's not going to be the same for everyone, but there is something.
No, there's always something, whether it's
And to
changing
believe
what
that
you
clinical depression is just there because it is, it will always be there, is just a terrible mindset to have.
read.
I'm sure it's very easy to have in that situation, but
And
man.
he has the exact point that we're talking about. But yeah, like, this shit's ridiculous.
Very sad. I would say the first thing you need to do is stop accepting the identity of a clinically depressed person. Stop
Right.
accepting you have no control over this.
It's quite
And what
literally
you need
just
to do
playing
is
the
stop
victim.
Identifying
That's
that
what
way,
it is.
and let's work
Yeah.
together to try and fight
But
against
there
it.
Using
isn't
it as a
an
crutch
eminent
for
doctor
whatever
in
reason.
the world who would tell you there is no such thing as clinical depression. Who
Johan-
would not tell you that.
Numerous medical personnel, whether they're psychiatrists or anything like that, have listened to this take and said he's not wrong.
Yeah.
The problem is most psychologists don't actually understand what they say, or do have monetary value in saying, hey, you need to take this medication or whatever.
Having gone to school for 6 to 8 years and studied a bit about that topic is not enough to make you an expert, and it's certainly very fucked when there's a massive conflict of interest when you're making money off of people for medication too. Yeah.
And this specific one that I watched, he's like, no, clearly, if you sit here and say that I'm this or I'm that, and you take that onto your plate, and then all of a sudden that's what you are, then that will absolutely impact your life and nothing will change it. That medication is a tool to change what the hell you're doing.
It is not a solution. No.
Not a solution, nor is it a lifelong sentence. In most cases, obviously, in the few that are completely deficient, that's obviously going to be a situation and a problem.
That's good. I'm glad that Piers didn't completely just try to be a bullshit fucking whiny contrarian when it came to this topic specifically. That's nice.
It gets worse.
Does
I
it?
think
It's
Johan,
simply beyond
I think
their
Johan
control.
Hari wrote a book saying exactly that, my friend.
He's not an eminent doctor.
No, but
He's a journalist.
I said depression wasn't real long ago and was attacked for it. Then Johan Hari wrote a book, which
What's it got to
actually,
do with Johan Hari?
because he wrote a book proving me right. Most people,
Johan Hari's a journalist.
sure. And my point is that a lot of people who are clinically depressed are suffering with something in their life, and if you fix the problem in their life, perhaps they won't feel depressed anymore. That's not a disease.
Yeah, but Andrew,
That's situational.
Andrew, you're simply wrong.
If that's what you believe, Piers, it's
That's what I
fine.
believe.
I don't believe in things that take power away.
There is not an eminent doctor in the world
Piers,
that would agree with it.
Piers, I
You think
That's
you know
also
more than
bullshit. You
doctors?
I
can't,
can't
fucking
become
say
clinically
every
depressed.
doctor on the planet
Why
thinks
do
you're.
you know?
because I don't believe in it.
What the fuck?
I can't be haunted by a ghost if I don't believe in ghosts.
Well, that's like saying I'm never going to die because I don't believe in it. It's ridiculous.
Perhaps, but if it allows me to live a life where I feel happy and
But here's
content
where you
within
see, this is,
myself.
again, this is that little area where you lose me.
No, I don't lose you.
You are, because
Piers,
somebody with your
Piers,
following says
the
there is no
thousands
such
of people,
thing.
the thousands of people who have emailed me saying my doctor told me I was clinically depressed and it's a disease that I have got in my brain and I can't be fixed. And I started listening to you and I realized that that's not the case and I can fix my own life. And you're the only person who has
If you-
ever helped me.
Oh, Andrew.
Thousands of
Amazing.
people have emailed
Andrew,
me
if
that
you
exact
think-
email.
if
You gotta
think
feel
you are
great knowing that you've done that for at least
single-handedly
one
curing
fucking
people of
person,
clinical
honestly.
depression,
Power to
you are
them.
living in cloud cuckoo land.
I am reading the emails of people who I have cured of clinical depression.
You're reading emails from people.
So they continue talking.
This
in a
is getting
circle.
so good. I'm actually loving it.
But we've gotten those emails. We've gotten those messages. We've gotten those comments. And they are the greatest fucking feeling in the world.
Right?
Like,
It really is.
the first one you always will write off as, oh, you're bullshitting. Like, I understand. You're trying to be funny. But when you get 5, 6, 7, 10 of them, there's a change. There is. That shit just feels fantastic. And I'm sure
Knowing that you can change someone's outlook on life in any way, shape, or form just based on your own opinions
and
is
words
amazing. Because
and
sometimes
outlook.
all it takes is someone, hearing things from a different point of view literally can change a lot for a single individual. Especially if you're talking about a case like this, where all they just hear is that, yes, you have this disease from a doctor who says it can't be cured. Here are ways to deal with it for the rest of your life.
Yep.
And if all it takes is listening to one person who has a different outlook on this to really change it that much for yourself and give yourself just a different mindset with the whole thing is... People put too much weight in what
respect that you
doctors say
think my view is
on a
dangerous, and
lot
I
of
respect you have the right to
topics,
view that.
especially
I think
mental
that.
health.
I think that clinical depression, I actually agree with you, is massively overdiagnosed. I've already said that PTSD is a very real thing. I've already said
I didn't. No, hang on.
Okay.
Again, you're misquoting me. I did not say clinical depression is massively overdiagnosed. I said that people who claim to be depressed but don't have clinical depression.
I believe feeling depressed is real. I do not believe it's a disease that you catch from the sky and you cannot affect. I believe that no matter what happens, I believe you have control of your own mind and you can fight against it. I believe if you change your circumstances in your life, you may feel different. I'll give you a quick example. I had a guy who emailed me saying he was clinically depressed and he was going to kill himself. I obviously am not a psychiatrist, I'm not a doctor. I told him, because I replied to my emails. I said, have you been to a psychiatrist? He said, yes, I'm clinically depressed. I've been on these pills, this amount of time. I'm on antidepressants, it doesn't work. I said, I don't know what to say to you besides this. And he said he lost his girlfriend, that's why he became clinically depressed. I said, listen, go to the gym, get a six-pack first. Once you've got a six-pack, email me again. If you still feel like killing yourself, I don't know what else to say to you. But I'd say, strong body is a strong mind, go train. He went, he started sending me progress pictures, emailing me him getting in better shape, and eventually got a six-pack. He's now a professional bodybuilder. And he said, I can't believe I was considering that. I feel so much better, etc. The doctor was telling him he was clinically depressed and couldn't cure it. He started taking control of his own life, and now he felt better. Now, I'm not saying it's the case for everybody.
No.
I was just about to say that. I'm like, Piers is probably going to say, that's not going to work for everyone.
Because
and
I'm
he's like,
saving
you
people's
didn't fucking say
lives.
that.
I
He's
disagree
talking
that if
about one case.
if you feel depressed, I disagree that you cannot affect it and change your life and take control and fix yourself and feel happy.
I was just about to make that point too. Like, it doesn't have to be just exercise.
I
Purely having a
refuse to
good,
accept
balanced
that
diet
there are
could do
people out there
wonders for
who
your
cannot
body.
become happy, contented individuals. I refuse to accept we live in a world where God has created people who, no matter how hard they work and how good their life becomes, can't be happy. I don't accept that. I accept that the universe is a very giving place and that God loves all of us. And if you try your best and you work hard, you can become a better person. And I also will argue with you, and I'll counter the point that you sitting here on your platform telling people they have clinical depression, there's nothing they can do about it, is far more dangerous. Okay, well then, if they have clinical depression...
Why do you misquote me?
No, because you're saying...
You hate being misquoted.
No, you're saying if people have clinical depression...
I
they
said there's
have a
nothing to do
disease,
about it. They go to a doctor and they get diagnosed and they get help.
then I would argue the point that if
It's the
somebody...
complete opposite of what you just said I said.
I would argue the point that if somebody has depression of any kind, whether it's clinical, whether it exists or not, whether they feel depressed or not, whatever, that taking control of their life, taking personal responsibility, and working hard is always going to be the positive, best thing they can possibly do for their life going forward.
How
and the people
positive
going
is
around
it?
them. So sitting here saying, I don't believe in clinical depression, you don't believe in depression. No, I don't. I believe that people can take control and fight against things.
Right.
I believe in personal sovereignty.
Right. Fine.
Good. So we agree.
So
Piers
that's,
is just like, I'm done. I can't get him to fucking slip up. Literally.
that's where we're going to end this clip. It's honestly the fucking truth, man. Honestly. With the shit that I've dealt with in the past 2 years, most people would be fucking so depressed.
This is the realest shit I've ever heard the
fucking
dude
handle
say.
this
I
shit.
haven't absorbed a shitload of his content. I've tried to stay away from a lot of it personally because, especially when it's clipped down in short form, it's just trying to get a rouse out of people. But hearing him talk about shit like this in a longer form in an actual interview is fucking amazing.
Yeah. So I would suggest for everybody to go watch Andrew Tate destroy Piers Morgan because it's fucking insane. I do want to say, regardless of what you're fucking dealing with, if you find the positive in what the hell you're dealing with, what the hell you're struggling with, whatever, and put your head fucking down and accomplish something. That's all you got to do. Whether you're changing your body, you're changing your mind, or changing
A
your
handful
job.
of simple tasks you've put off for fucking ages. Just go do them. You will feel better 110% of the time.
Most people struggle with starting. I know. Me and Ippo fucking every single time we join the call now. Every single day. We're like, dude, did you see the fucking views? Did you see this shit go up? That changing right there. That the number changing on the fucking screen has improved both of our mental health.
100%.
Because it's like we're doing what the fuck's happening?
It's actually gaining traction. People want to hear these things, and it's fucking great.
You can do that too. You can impact the world just as much as we do, just as much as Andrew Tate does, if you put in the time and the effort. You could change your world in the same way that Andrew Tate has, or we have, or whatever. You can find something that's positive, but first make sure to subscribe, like, share, comment your fucking idiocy about how we're fucking idiots. And if you didn't like the video, refresh it, give it another chance, and as well, I really don't have an outro.